Hello and welcome back to Bridging Beings. I'm Evie, and if you just came from Justice's reading, this reading is the follow-on, since Justice and Monty have the same human partner. If this is your first time here, you can watch that video first to get a little context. However, you really don't have to because Monty will introduce himself here just fine. So the horse we will be reading today is Monty. Let me turn over the picture here so you can get a good look at him. Beautiful Monty. As always, before I get started, I just want to thank my partner Kay for being the co-creator in this process. He makes every one of these readings something that you can actually see and feel, and he brings a lot of care to each of these videos and puts in a lot of work. So I'm eternally grateful for his participation. So now, where Justice arrived like a door blown open in a storm, Monty was sort of already there when I tuned in, waiting, unhurried, exactly like Monty is, exactly where he wanted to be. And as it turns out, that's very much a part of Monty's story. For those of you who've watched some of the other videos, Monty is Lauren's other horse. She has 3, and I learned this through Monty himself, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. And Monty is the horse who's seen Lauren through pretty much everything. So if Justice was the teaching horse, while he was the curriculum, for lack of a better word, Monty was in many ways the classroom. He was the steady, unchanging environment in which all of Lauren's growth took place. Lauren asked me to read Monty alongside Justice. She really wanted to understand both of her horses, physically, emotionally, and what, in Monty's case, since he's still living, what he needed. With Justice, the reading came to me. With Monty, I went to him, and what I found was something I didn't expect after the intensity of Justice's energy. Monty had a quiet groundedness. He's a horse who, without drama or declaration, figured out exactly who he was and had no intention of being anybody or anything else. The very first thing I heard when I connected with Monty was, I could live anywhere. And I knew I was dealing with a completely different kind of wisdom in him than I had experienced with Justice. So Monty is what I would call a roll with the punches horse. Again, steady, grounded, very observant. He does not make impulsive moves. He studies the situation first, takes in the full scene, assesses it, considers his options, and then he acts. He's not a horse who wastes energy on things that he deems frivolous. He has a lighter side, a warmth he shows when he chooses to, but his default setting is a kind of considered, watchful calm. He also has something that is genuinely rare in any being, horse or human. He's completely unbothered by where he is. His I could live anywhere is not rooted in any sort of negativity. It's the settled confidence of a being who knows that his contentment lives inside him, not in his circumstances. He carries it with him. It's not location dependent. That said, he is aware of Lauren's energy around his living situation, and as he described it, it's a bit frenetic. She's gone back and forth on where she thinks he should live, what's best for him, whether she is doing the right things, making the right calls. And his response to all of this is essentially, I'm happy. She always does the right thing. She has never let us down. And it's the us that stopped me, because it's Monty who kind of clued me into somebody else in Lauren's herd that I had not met yet. But he said it very clearly. He wasn't just speaking for himself. He was speaking for all the horses in Lauren's care as a group. He holds that view on behalf of all of them, that she's never let them down. And from a horse who chooses his behavior and his words carefully, that's definitely not a small thing. He also functions as an example for other horses to follow. So in any herd he is a part of, he brings a level of maturity and integrity that other horses orient around. He's not doing that by asserting himself or being defiant. He's just simply being consistent, reliable, and being himself. And other horses respect that. They take their cues from him without being told to do so. And I kept thinking, connecting with Monty, this is what emotional authority actually looks like in real life. He's not dominant, there's no drama, just this unshakable quality of being who he knows he is and knows exactly where he stands. Monty was pretty generous showing me around his body. He sort of phrased it like, since you're asking, it's nothing urgent, but I'll just show you around. Definitely not a complainer. And that sort of needs to be said up front. And I told Lauren that what I found physically, he probably would not volunteer, but if she poked around, he would reveal anything that she wanted to know. He's just not going to volunteer any aches and pains. The most notable thing I felt was in the hips, specifically on the left side. He provided me with sort of a heat map. of the area that was giving him some trouble. It's sort of a burning sensation that radiates outward. Not terrible, certainly not debilitating, but as I told Lauren, worth paying attention to. It had kind of a chronic quality to it, something that had been there for a long time maybe, and was part of his background rather than anything that he was alarmed about. He also showed me a saddle. Very clearly, specifically, the word lopsided was attached to that. So I asked Lauren that if she's still riding him, she should check the saddle fit, that something in the padding of the leather may be worn unevenly and creating some kind of imbalance about how the weight is distributed across his back. It may be contributing to his hip discomfort, or it may be a separate issue entirely, but he definitely brought it to my attention and wanted it named. Monty also took me on what I can only describe as kind of a ping pong of some of the past injuries around his body. Hind feet, lower legs, none of them actively hurting, just kind of an archive of injuries. He sort of methodically took me through, the way you might walk through some old photographs. These things happened, it's not happening now, but if you were to press around in those areas, you would see that some of that old achiness is still there. But the overall picture, Monty is a horse in very good condition, who is very well cared for, and he is well aware of that. He said it to me directly, I'm well taken care of. And like Clyde and several other horses I've read, he would just push through the discomfort anyway, and he wouldn't make a fuss about it. So Lauren should certainly watch for signals rather than waiting for him to speak up. And I communicated that to her as well. So I asked Monty a little bit about their relationship, his and Lauren's, and what he showed me was really touching and what I can describe as beautifully ordinary, like a good marriage across multiple decades. He described them as a couple who really know and appreciate each other. They are able to anticipate what the other person needs before that person says it, or I guess in this case, animal partner and human partner say it. It's a situation where the shorthand is pretty complete, and whole conversations can happen just in exchange glances. Fussing over each other has become a kind of love language for them, even when there's nothing actually wrong. He told me he's watched Lauren grow. That phrase came through with some real weight, and he has been present for all the obstacles, the hard lessons that she's had to overcome. And he showed me something I found to be a really tender image of the two of them. He showed me himself walking up to a fence or a gate where Lauren is standing and just stopping, holding the space, neither of them needing to say anything, just both of them being there with each other in the moment. No words, no agenda, just presence offered and received. And it was just a beautiful scene. Monty really loves Lauren, he admires her, and he has a very clear-eyed view of her, including her sometimes overthinking and frenetic energy around decisions she's already made correctly. He said, including the worry she carries around about whether she's doing enough. And his perspective on all of that is affectionate, but direct. She always does the right thing, and she needs to trust herself more. Lauren asked if Monty felt she treated him fairly and wanted to know if he approved of how she was living her life now. And he seemed puzzled by that question. He wanted to know what she meant by fair, and he told me he was well taken care of. He doesn't need anything. All his needs are met. And that the concept of fairness as a concern seemed slightly foreign to him, not because he's unaware of fair versus unfair, but because from where he stands, there's nothing to redress. She has already been fair. She's always been fair. So he sort of lobbed a question back to her. Do you realize that, you are treating us fairly and doing the absolute most we could ask for? Which was a really powerful and beautiful question to ask back. So before I get to the card pull, I like to pause and kind of reflect on the reading that's in front of us and the animal, what they're trying to teach us, because I think there's so much in what these animals offer us in terms of lessons. And Monty's offering something in this reading that I think is easy to overlook, precisely because it isn't super obvious or loud. Justice taught through fire, through boundary and intensity and insistence that certain things matter and must be honored. His lesson was about integrity, about agency, about the cost and the gift of being fully, uncompromisingly yourself. It was a lesson that arrived with force because it needed to. Monty teaches through a more water-like way, if we want to stick with the elements here, through the kind of presence that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand acknowledgement. It doesn't need you to notice it in order to do its work. He is simply there, being consistent, being reliable, without condition. And over time, over the years of their long relationship, that kind of presence changes a person more profoundly than anything else can. And I think they're both changed by that presence, but Lauren for sure. We live in a world that prizes the dramatic gesture, and that where everything has to be bigger, better, more outrageous than the last thing. The grand declaration, the moment of transformation arrives, this massive before and after. And we're less good at recognizing the slower, quieter work, the standing at the fence, the saying nothing, the being there again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Dependability and consistency and continuity. We miss that sometimes because we're looking for the grander gesture. And Monty knows something about contentment that most of us spend our whole lives trying to learn, that it's not a destination. It's not the product of the right circumstances or the right location or the right arrangement of external things. It is a quality of being that you either carry with you or you choose not to. I could live anywhere is not indifference. It's the deepest possible form of inner stability. The knowledge that matters most is not where you are, but who you are when you get there. And that's such a powerful lesson to remember. And the image that he kept showing me, himself at the fence, Lauren on the other side, neither of them needing words, is, I think, the most complete portrait of what real partnership looks like. Not the performance of connection, not the grand gesture. It's the thing itself. Two beings know each other well enough to simply be together without requiring anything from the moment except the moment. And I had to really reflect on that in my own life. Where do I just accept the moment for the moment it is without needing anything else from it? It's a powerful question. If Justice asked Lauren, who are you, and are you living as that person fully? Then Monty's question is quieter and in some ways harder. Can you still be enough to receive what is already there? Can you stop worrying about whether you are doing enough and simply be present to the thing that is already quietly, abundantly good? A question for all of us that I think probably resonates no matter who you are. So she always does the right thing, and she's never let us down. That is really the key theme here in how Lauren really relates to her animal partners. Monty's known that for years, and he's just waiting for her to know it too, for her to realize how good she really is. So, okay, that's our friend Monty for the day, and he is a beautiful being. I love this picture of him. It is so elegant and dignified, and I love it. It's fantastic. So I'm going to pull a few cards. I actually have a new card deck this week I'm trying out. I just got it. It's brand new. I used it on myself a couple of times. Let's start with the new one first. Give a shuffle or two. I did a pre-shuffle of these as well because I'm not the best shuffler on the planet. Ooh, we'll take the first one. Almost had a jumper. Not quite, but almost. All right, let's see. We have koala, which is protect. Put the koala here. And koala. This card represents protection from harm and comfort in difficult times. Unlike the scorpion card, this card encourages a caring and reassuring form of protection, often associated with caregivers. How appropriate, considering Monty. This card is the protection of a safe place, a thick blanket rather than a suit of armor. It also describes how Lauren treats her animal partners and how they feel about that treatment and where they live and their lives and all of that. Despite its bear-like appearance, a koala is a marsupial. As with most marsupials, koalas care for their young using an abdominal pouch, keeping them safe, close, warm, and nourished. Koalas tend to avoid energy-heavy hostile behavior unless it is necessary, but can be aggressive and territorial when forced. The koala card represents comforting protection. Sadly, many myths and legends of Australian Aboriginal peoples have been lost due to their recent tragic history. One surviving story from the Gumbaynir people of New South Wales, I'm sure I murdered the name of that, so apologies, Aboriginal people from New South Wales, is that of a great flood in which a little boy uses koala intestines to create a bridge between the islands that emerged from receding floodwaters. After the bridge was built, the people of Africa joined those of Australia, and the different Aboriginal tribes were born. Much like modern conservation efforts to keep the koala from extinction, this card promotes conservation of nature, protection of culture, and caring for others. Corresponding elements: earth, flora, eucalyptus, angelica, calendula, and motherwort. Eucalyptus is what koalas eat, or so I believe. Stones to work with: cat's eye, carnelian, fluorite, lapis lazuli, and peridot. Spell work: protection of a loved one, the blessing of a new child, dispelling nightmares. So protection really is the theme of this card, and something that Monty feels is part of his contract with Lauren, and she with him. So what a great card to get. Let's do a couple of other animal cards. I usually pull two. All right, I'm going to pull two. We have the bee, and we have the hummingbird. Oh, I love the hummingbird. I feed hummingbirds, so I have a little 2 bird feeders on my porch, and I love, love, love when they stop by. It's just amazing to see them. They are incredible creatures. And I open the book directly to hummingbirds, so we're going to go with that first, because there has to be a message here for that to be happening. Hummingbird: positive, enthusiastic, spiritually resourceful. Inside the tiny hummingbird resides an endless well of energy and positivity. The hummingbird's secret is that it has learned where to gather nectar, and it returns to these sources daily for nourishment and rejuvenation. This sacred elixir springs from many sources, but usually involves nature, creativity, and exploring spirituality. Follow the way of the hummingbird, and you cannot go wrong. Every droplet of life becomes sweet, every moment worth savoring. And that is certainly Monty, if ever there was a sentiment to have. When in balance: smart, curious, loves to learn. That's Monty. When out of balance: pushy, insistent, and sharp. Certainly did not pick that up in a reading. To bring into balance: take a class. That's beautiful. I love it. And I opened right to the page, so that's almost never happens. Let's go with our next friend, the bee. Also, right next to the hummingbird in the book. That's kind of extraordinary. Okay, earnest, hardworking, democratic. The bee personality is a delight to be around, especially when there's a team project on the horizon. Bees love to work steadily and thoughtfully until the final task is complete. They are sensitive creatures, aware of many subtleties at once. Since they're artists at heart, they usually add creative detail to the overall vision. For the most part, they have bustling, joyous personalities until they're too tired from all the work. Then they gripe, and then they sting. I don't know that that's something that Monty would do personality-wise, but I could certainly see that for all of us humans living here on the planet. We are overworked, and then we sting. When in balance: content, active, and vibrant. When out of balance: overworked and annoyed, which I have to say, I felt a little bit of that last week. To bring into balance: a mini vacation, which I have also been thinking in my mind that I could use, and hopefully this upcoming holiday weekend will be one of those. So that is all I have for us today for this reading. It was a pleasure to read Monty. He is an amazing soul, as is Lauren. Looking forward to bringing Goose, which is the other member of Lauren's herd, into the video. She is an amazing being who really brings a powerful lesson to all of us of loving every gift you're given, no matter what package it's wrapped in. She came from a horse rescue, and she had a pretty hard life before she got to Lauren. So stay tuned for that one. It's a really great one in terms of a lesson. So if this reading resonated with you, please leave a comment below. I love hearing which moments land and why. I don't get a ton of comments, but if I get one, I will definitely respond. And if you haven't watched Justice's reading yet, please go back and watch that. I think you'll find that entertaining, and it gives some context to the reading we did today for Monty. If you'd like to request a reading for your own animal companion, living or in spirit, you can reach me at bbeings411@gmail.com. The full booking instructions are right in the video description. And for those of you who've asked, I'm putting this on this video as well. If you'd like to make a donation, you're more than welcome to do that. Absolutely no pressure. It's not required. But others have asked, so you can do that via PayPal. You just simply log into PayPal and search for bbeings411@gmail.com. And after you hit the pay button, you should be able to find that email there. I don't have a permanent PayPal link because I don't want to set a fixed price, and PayPal forces you to do that. So I want people, if they want to donate, fine. If they don't, I'm not worried about it. No pressure at all. I'm only mentioning this because people have asked. What's really important though is if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell. Please share this with your friends that you think would like this type of content. Every animal I connect with has something really amazing to say, and I certainly don't want you to miss it or any of your friends. Until next time, thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you again on a future video. Keep listening. Our animal friends have so much to say.